Episode 76 of This and That and What Else. And in this one I will be talking about some of the Donbass, the energy issues, the EU, Germany, and my favorite topic, the global revolution. And then I've got something about Putin and the green stuff. This morning I listened to an interview that one of the popular Afrikaans channels had with two people that is living in Odessa. Quite an interesting talk, but I have got a lot of questions which I will not ask. I have seen a few interviews previously, and it is quite obvious that the Ukrainian public are just as uninformed as the rest of the world about what's actually going on in the Ukraine. The guy made a few statements that was hair-raising too. First one that knocked me for a six is when he said there was no reason for Russia to feel threatened by NATO. At that point, my eyes widened. And then he made a second statement in which he said everything that Putin say is lies. And I had to shake my head. But in any case, I'm not going to dwell on that. If I can give them some advice, they better get their asses out of Odessa. The Russians are going to take that place. There's no question of it. But let's leave it there. The first thing I want to show you is this little list, interesting list. And it ranks a number of cities in the world on their crime index. Quite revealing that South Africa has got spot number 2, number 3, number 5, number 11 out of that 17 cities. You can pause the video and look at it. Look at those numbers. It's scary. And then we get back to the Donbass, because the suffering for the people there is not ending. The Ukrainian army is constantly and consistently bombarding the citizens there. And in that interview this morning I listened to the guy when he was talking about cities that has been wiped out by the Russians, and the Russians are using cluster ammunitions. Where if you go and you look on the Telegram channels, both sides of the line, and you look at the stuff from Patrick Lancaster and Eva Bartlett, it is the Ukraine that are using cluster ammunitions. And those things are banned, but they're using it. And it was just interesting. Look at this. This is in Lugansk, where the Ukrainians use the HIMARS to shoot those civilians' installations. And then we get to the next image. Ukraine's armed forces strike Physics and Tech Institute in Donetsk. That is what they're doing. But the West don't pay attention. The citizens of the West are paying the taxes that finance it. And there's another place that has been hit in Donetsk by Ukrainian shelling. But it's not important. It is not happening. These images is lies. You can't trust your own eyes. And now we get into the EU, and I saw this and I thought this could very easily be a what a fact, but it's not, it's a fact. Look at that. In Latvia, 15 benches at bus stops were cut down for firewood at a cost of 1,157 euros. I saw that and I had to laugh. That looks like South Africa to me. But it shows you how desperate those people are. They're going to freeze their asses off. And then there was this. Germany needs billions to solve energy crisis. Struggles to sell bonds. Germany has found reluctance in potential debt buyers amid markets racked with uncertainty about interest rates and state spending. I'm not going to read all of it. You can stop if you want to read the rest. But I just smiled when I saw that. They created this fiasco for themselves. They created it themselves. And then there was this little meme that I saw, which is so telling Just look at that American caricature there and look at the whole image. I cannot understand how the Europeans allowed their leadership in Brussels to pull them into this. And then there was this article from Politico. Scholz and Macron threaten trade retaliation against Biden. France and Germany want to negotiate with Washington about unfair competition, but they are ready to hit back if necessary. And I'm not going to read all of that. You can pause it and read it. It's a joke. I'm laughing. What do they think they can do now? It's too late. Their industrial complex has collapsed. Manufacturers are moving, some going to China, some going to America. The Americans is the winners in the sanction war against Russia. And then we get to find it crazy. EU demands Serbia fall in line. European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen has apparently issued a warning to Belgrade, saying that Brussels expects it to be in line with the bloc's policy. Does she realize Serbia isn't a member state? That's a big question. But I think her days of bullying countries is also coming to an end. She's running out of rope. And then we get to this one. Now, if you know the maps of Europe, you will look at this and you will just laugh. The door of the European Union is open. Please seize the opportunity. Von der Leyen visits Bosnia and Herzegovina. She's hunting for another vassal. She's hunting for more countries to be used as proxies against Russia. The Eastern Bloc countries that are part of the EU will just have to make peace with it. The old EU, the elite, and the Americans are going to feed you into the meat grinder. And then we get this on the gender issue. The West promotes freedom from everything, literally. There is a direct propaganda of pedophilia. Biden said yesterday that he supports sex reassignment surgery for children. This is also freedom and liberalism from some point of view, but we understand that this is a monstrous outrage on human nature, including over his freedom and rights. Putin correctly noted that Western liberalism has turned into a weapon for the destruction of civilizations. Think about it, and that is the truth. And then we get to this. Doctor, sir, patient, it's ma'am. Doctor, ma'am, you have testicular cancer. Yeah, this was quite interesting. German soldiers refuse to serve due to the Ukraine situation. According to the publication Der Spiegel, since the beginning of the conflict in Ukraine, more and more Bundeswehr soldiers want to quit their service. This year, the number of people who refuse to serve for reasons of conscience has grown significantly. The number of failures increased from 209 in 2021 to 810 in the first 8 months of 2022, the Defense Ministry said in a statement. The Bundeswehr refrained from commenting on this matter. The figures reflect the fears of the Germans about the course of the Bundestag and the military escalation in Ukraine, said the German politician. And I'm going to take a guess. We're going to see more and more of this. It looks like the average Europeans are beginning to wake up and realize that their leadership is sending him on a roller coaster ride to hell. Now this one, when I read this, I nearly freaked out. More evidence of sickening Russophobia carried out by Germany. Germany never learns lessons from the past. And this is about an auction house which will allow you to buy Russian art, masters art. And you buy it and you pay for it, and after you've paid for it, they will have a big bonfire in which those art pieces will then be destroyed. What fucking sick mind thinks something like this? What is this? Why destroy and destruct art, monuments and things like that? That is pure barbarian. But look, sanity has left the room and we are sitting with mad people, and it's going to cost them a lot. And then we get to my favorite topic, the global revolution. To overcome Western sanctions, the EAEU countries have already switched to settlements in national currencies by 80%. Other measures are also being taken. The Minister for Integration and Macroeconomics of the Eurasian Economic Commission, Sergei Glasev, said in an interview, "I personally don't think that the Western guys expected or suspected or imagined that the de-dollarization will move so fast." And then we get to the green stuff. Now this one will make you giggle. Germany is tearing down a wind turbine farm in order to make way for the expansion of a coal mine. And how green is that? Pitch black. And there's a photograph of what's happening. Look at that. Yeah, these green people are gonna really, they must end. I see Sweden has dissolved that division they had in their parliament for something like, in their government for about 18 years, that looks after the green shit. This new Prime Minister just said there's no need for it. It's cancelling all this net zero carbon shit, and they're falling back to fossil fuels. And then there's this meme. Now, it was all based on this thing of Musk buying Twitter, and it is not really the truth, but it was just a reminder of how corrupt Twitter actually was. Look at those numbers. Before and after Elon removes bots from Twitter. Before, 21.5 million followers for Joe Biden, and after 12 followers for Joe Biden. Look, this is bullshit. This was made, but I laughed. And then here's a few statements from Putin. And I want to say again, in that interview I watched this morning on that Afrikaans channel, the guy explicitly said everything Putin says is a lie. Now listen to a few things Putin said. There's no stability in the relations with the West at all. They sign documents, then easily reject them. By using the dollar as a weapon, the West has undermined the idea of a reserve currency system. The West pocketed our gold and foreign exchange reserves. World economy should be more open and free. We do not have to isolate. There's a common pragmatic interest in honest and open tech and scientific exchange. This development should be more equal. We are not just building power plants, we are creating industries. Now, why is that all lies? And then some more. Putin says it's time to consider changing structure of the United Nations Organization and the UN Security Council. It should reflect the world's diversity. Unipolar world is at its end. Collapse of the Soviet Union split powers, leaving the West to create hegemony. This will be the most important decade since World War II. The rest of the world no longer wants to follow the West. The coming decade will be the most important after the end of the Great Patriotic War. Now, what is lies about what he's saying here? This is facts. And I have said it many times, that UN thing is a farce. Look at that last vote they had to point fingers at Russia about Ukraine. The West named that they won on votes. Yeah, they won on votes. But the big populations, it's only 34 countries voted against it. So if you look at the population numbers that voted against them, the West is less than 10%. That must change. How is it possible that a small country, which one can we name? Cyprus, can have one vote, and China, only one vote? That doesn't work. More from Putin. Russia was concerned about becoming a semi-colony. The West brought about the current situation, not Russia. And the conflict in Ukraine, Vladimir Putin said, tectonic changes are happening. We are escalating some of these processes perhaps, but it will happen anyway. Western masterminds pushed Kiev to ignore the Minsk agreements. And that is true. I saw an interview that they had with the previous president of the Ukraine in which he clearly admits that they never had any intention of implementing the Minsk agreements. They were using that to play for time to build up their army. And for 8 years they got away with it. Yeah, I just want to give you a little bit of a summary. The most important fragment of President Putin's speech at Valdai Forum. The collapse of the Soviet Union destroyed the balance of forces. The West felt like a winner and proclaimed a unipolar world order in which only its will, culture and interest had the right to exist. Now this historical period of undivided dominance in world affairs is coming to an end. The unipolar world is becoming a thing of the past. We are standing at a historical milestone. It is the most dangerous, unpredictable and at the same time most important decade since the end of the Second World War. The West is not capable of governing humanity alone, but it is desperately trying to do so, and most of the peoples of the world no longer want to put up with this. This is the main contradiction of the new era. In the words of the classics, the situation is to a certain extent revolutionary. The upper class cannot and the lower class do not want to live like this anymore. Now that is really a good summary of what is going on. But the West don't want to take note. I think, and I have said it in previous Skidmarks, the problem with the Americans, they cannot imagine a world where they're not the rulers. They can't imagine it. But they better have to change their attitude very fast. And there is Putin again at his best. You must just take in consideration, at this Valdai conference, Putin was facing 1,000 journalists from across the globe. And he gave a speech for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then he had a question and answer session. And you must remember, he sits there without a teleprompter and without notes, fielding the questions as they come. After 3.5 hours, the moderator told him that they've been going now for 3.5 hours and he will allow one more question. And Putin said to him, listen, I call the shots here. Let them ask their questions. 5 hours later, he called it a day. Now show me one, just one Western leader that can make a speech and then field 5 hours, 4.5 hours of questions without a teleprompter or cheat sheet. Show me that leader. Show me that leader. And he's got a strong sense of humor, which I like. If the lights go out somewhere, the toilet doesn't work somewhere, Russia is blamed for everything. The Russian president commented on the accusations of the Russian Federation in all the problems. And that is true. Think about it, laugh about it. And now we're getting to that what a fuck moment. And this is for me a serious what a fuck. I mean, look at this image. There's no way in the world that you will tell me that that is the same man. I have got serious questions. Who is this thing that we think is Joe Biden that we are seeing daily? Who is it? What is it? Because I've seen many other images like this. I'm not so sure that we're dealing with the right guy. I think that guy is maybe gone a long time ago. And we're talking here to a ghost. But just look at these two images. Two videos posted within a couple of hours of each other. A few hours apart. Look at that. That's not the same guy. You can't tell me it's the same guy. But in any case, on that note, while we are all confused and wondering, please hit a like and a subscribe and share the thing, and thank you for your support.